there are 6 questions that you really can ask about your organization at a high level and say, how are we really doing? Number 1, and these are using standards that came out of Greenleaf's work, are all people with whom we interact being treated with dignity and respect as human beings? Are all people with whom we interact being treated with dignity and respect as human beings? Are each of our team members growing as servant leaders and becoming more empowered, more knowledgeable, more effective leaders within their realm of influence? Now that goes back to that concept. It's all about leaders at every level. Number 3, are the weakest among us being helped by our service? See, an authentic leader is not so much focused on sucking up as they are giving a hand up to somebody that's at a lower level. Number 4, are we strengthening the trust of our employees and stakeholders that senior executives and the governing body actually walk the talk of servant leadership principles? We train 800 or so local government employees a month in live training classes. And the number 1 class that we do is Now That I'm a Supervisor. And in that class, the number 1 question that we get is, why doesn't somebody make my boss take this class? Because you're teaching me stuff that we neither believe nor practice. Now understand, go back to what I talked about with trust. The lowest trust denominator is going to be as good as you're going to get. When your employees say, why doesn't my boss make them take this class? It's not just about the fact that you're wasting resources. It is that you are damaging your trust credibility. Because what they are saying is our leaders do not believe what they're telling us. Do as I say, not as I do, does not work with employees any better than it works with kids. Number 5, are we creating a culture that authentically embraces the highest ideals of servant leadership at every level? Most of you right now, when you heard the phrase, embracing the highest ideals of servant leadership, you had an immediate image of somebody in your mind that you know should have been fired a long time ago. Because they're the opposite of that. But because your organizational systems are designed to evaluate whether an engineer can draw a straight line or not, rather than whether they are a great leader or not, you don't hold people accountable for poor leadership and for walking the talk of the cultural values that you claim. And understand, when that disconnect happens, when that gap happens, what really occurs is that your credibility as a leader is eroded. Their trust in you as a leader is eroded if they believe that you've got stuff hung on the wall that's not being walked out in the hall. Credibility as a leader, trust as a leader is everything. And then ultimately, the outgrowth of that is, are we leading in a way that is constantly transforming the organization into who we aspire to become? Are we really on a journey? Understand that the very essence of the word leader implies movement. You cannot be a leader standing still. You can be a manager, but you cannot be a leader standing still. If you are not going somewhere and a team following you to that somewhere, you are not a leader. It's brutally blunt, but it's the reality. So the question ultimately of everything points towards, Are you leading in a way that is constantly transforming the organization into who we aspire to become?